says, on the first note, she says they are lucky to have found somebody in the Congo to translate this. And in fact, I would like to talk about what the guy does. Mariam sent what he had translated to me for review, and in fact, I was so I was so happy with the work. It was so perfect that whether Duane had written them originally in French or what, because the work is so impeccably done that I just told Mariam that they should just go ahead. In fact, my review will just be for formality's sake, not that there is anything to change. I found literally nothing to change. And in fact, it's a perfect work, a perfect job. And with this guy's arrival, guys stepping up and doing this work, I'm sure many more courses will be translated into French, and with the meaning and everything intact. So this guy should be a professional translator, because it's not a literal translation that he does at all. He translates. He's caught the essence of translation, which is translating the sense, the meaning, and not the words. So, in fact, I was so impressed by the work that it was the day before yesterday. I told Mariam that it was a perfect job, and that the guy should just go ahead. That is what I had always thought about. That translation into French should be, and we've just found the perfect guy for the job. And then on the second note, Mariam says they have found a new place in the center of the city, well positioned, very very good looking, and while they are taking center stage, the corporation is moving to the outskirts of the city. So that is a twist of let me say fate there. The corporation used to be prominent, and but now, while the new presentation is going in the center of the city, they are moving to the outskirts. So, and Mariam says tomorrow they are going to inaugurate the place, and you'll see pictures of it on Facebook. It's a beautiful place. And then the questions to be asked, the questions are these. On the first question is about the name Rebazar. The Rebazar's name is now Rebisar. And so Mariam wants to know, because the Nufriends are asking what is happening, why this change of name and these twists and all the like. And then concerning the new song, we've seen somewhere, Joyce Kelsey, who posted that you sing do, no, you. Is it a new format of singing the new, or what? So she wants, together with the friends seated there, to have some clarification on this new development. Thank you, Duane.
Yes, thank you for asking. It's very good that you do, because we will constantly be presenting something new. We are not stuck in tradition and old ways, because those things become outdated and really infected. And we see this, how it works. And so keeping up on this, first of all, yes, I look at these things, and before I talk about Rebazar, it'll be the all is, which I added 3 L's and 3 S's. So at first it was the is, then it became in '07, I saw it as the all is. And so a while back here, I took a look at this, and I just go along with what I see. And so for my personal self, it was a little bit funny at first. I thought, okay, and it's always like that. It's like, okay, do I dare to do this? You know, do I dare to add 3 L's and 3 S's and the isness and all this, the 3? But it's really very appropriate, because what it does, in a way, it singles out us as unique, because the all is unique, and this, it singles it out. So it's interesting to note that when I was in 2001, when I was shown, and I recognized it right away, nobody told me, I just recognized it, I saw it coming, that I was to present the is. And it was hinted at in Paul's books, but that's it. And so as time went along here, you notice that the corporations of the world created ISIS, which is ISIS, which was at one time was a reference for people here, but it had become all infected, like the corporation, all becomes infected. And so as I'm watching this, you see the so-called the naughty kids on the dark brats on the real side. They're also seeing what we're doing, and so in their own way, in their own definition, they're trying to copy it and to distort it. And so as I keep going here, so again, with the all is, it was ALLIS. Well, I decided to enhance that to where it is a reference to the isness itself. And so again, it's stepping up to create a better reference to where now it has 3 L's, it has 3 S's. Who's going to touch that? Well, let's see if they dare do it. So again, because these references are very important, because just by the fact of what they are and what they demonstrate, just like the N symbol that was created by Ava, and then Chris also enhanced upon it to make it a little more three-dimensional. Everybody contributed. It's very important symbol for us to refer to. So we're not using old symbols. And so the next step is, yes, I looked at this a while ago, and this is to separate you might say, the old reference of Rebazar tars, okay, because it's an interesting word, but literally in the language of Earth, it's a little bit funny. Of course, anything is, just like Ekankar and whatever that Paul created. Now it's really funny. It had its day, and it's fine, but it's done. It's all done. And those people that want to hang on to it. So I looked at this to present a new position for us as universal super beings, for our position with the new presentation, that, you know, we are uniquely more aware, and we decide, you know, what our preference, our connection, our references are. We decide that, not according to what has already been decided by the languages and the understanding of the world. We decide that, we see it, I see it, I take the risk to do it, present it, etc. So it's pronounced Rebazar. It's is, the isness, and it does make sense. And so anything that's created here, anything that I see and bring through, it's not that this is what people are supposed to do. No, each person, they decide and they test this for themselves. That's all. I just see this, I create this as a reference, first of all, for myself, and then I put it out there to see how it references, etc. Again, life must back this. It's not me deciding. If I decide something, life must back it. The boys must back it for it to be real. Not me just creating something to create something that sounds good, looks pretty. That's not the idea. That's not how it works. That's what the world is doing, and the world is not working. It's not working. It's imploding upon itself, because of what it's creating, what it's deciding, and how it's controlled. And the life itself and the real guides are not backing it, so it just is going to go to the wayside, etc. So I put it out there. I see what's taking place with it. And yes, to our personal minds, it's a little bit funny at first. But as you get used to it, like the all is, all of a sudden you see that it's the next step for us in this literal sense to have a better reference to this true reality. So Rebazar, what I see, it's a better reference as opposed to the reference people use, because that reference Rebazar Tars, is referenced to the corporation. You see, now what I've done is I'm gradually separating it all from that to where it is just Rebazar. And so I decided that. The boys decide to recognize and back that up. That's what makes it real, not me. I simply, move forward, take the risk to see where this goes. And the same with the do, new, you. And so, again, it has several different meanings itself, and each individual, test it for yourself. If you want to do, I still use the new, you. I still do that. That's fine. But also, there's always a step up. And we just created a new image for the new man. It's new is man, etc. So again, these are simply step-up references, okay? And it's an example that there is something happening realistically through the isness life is, and especially with what has been taking place galactically with us, and especially Miss Claudia and I. And so there's a lot more, and we will be bringing more of this out as it comes through, because it's a lot for people. So whether it's the new you or the do, new you, each individual tests that, but we're constantly, you might say, stepping up things to where we become, in a way, we're not separate from the world. We're not separate from things. No, we're totally in it. But at the same time, we have our own unique position, more so than just a literally defined creation that we're providing here. It becomes more so. And with these creations, they become, as the backing comes in with the is, and the boys, etc., they become their own reality. So we have our own place in life, you might say, to where we're not as affected by what we've come through. We become less affected, and we become more efficient at this journey, at this adventure that we're doing. So there's a lot to it, and it's just a lot of fun too. We have our own unique position. Yeah. I was going to add here that, again, the references that we're creating, you'll notice that the old references that we've come through, we needed this experience to see what's going on and what is done, how people are creating things, how they're agreeing to what they are. And mostly, if not all of it, is just agreeing to old restrictions, because the old references are always controlled. We have a system here where they are controlled. The new references that we have, well, again, it's going to take them a while, if ever, to figure out what we're doing. So again, we have our own universal community, and that is that as we meet and share, we get a better understanding, plus the real side. And so they are unable, those that want to control others, they are basically unable to control the references that we imply, because we add our own definitions, our own experiences, as opposed to what the literal world decides what we are, etc. So we have our own real position. So as this goes along, things will be transformed and tweaked a little bit, etc. And you'll notice that after we got done talking there, all that static came in. Well, I would say that the controllers of the world, they don't like what's taking place here. They don't like where they cannot control the references because they want to control everything. Now, basically, they cannot because they can't even understand, the smallest part of what we're presenting. So it's uniquely our own. And so this is where, each person for themselves must keep up and pay attention because this is how life is. Life is an isness, and we decide to keep up with it. So the new references are very important because they have their own definition. It's like some people think that, God and the all is are the same thing. No, there's a huge, vast difference. It's like day and night. They are not the same thing at all. And so, and as the is becomes more so of what it already is, you might say, that's just a figure of speech because it's endlessly an isness that it is. But as we recognize it more so, we have these references that are of a particular, where the world itself, you might say, tries to steal them and then control them and misuse them, and we see how this takes place. So we will constantly be presenting as I see it, and it's presented to me from the real side, and as I see it, and others will see it too, and they have to decide to step up or not, and nothing is required of anybody. Everybody makes their decision, but I see that the references in a particular way are very, very important, just like the all-solar vessel. It's uniquely itself, and it really is. And, again, the wonderful worldwide educators, we've created this stamp, we've created this reference for ourselves, and most people, they don't understand it or they won't touch it, even when we're presenting the all-natural environment. And so, again, look to the real side. Each person go on the adventure to test what's going on. And it's not a belief or anything like that. It's simply that you decide if you want to go into the next step. And I saw this too when Paul was here. He did transitions constantly. I remember in the beginning he started off with the idea of bilocation, which is really astral projection, and for the most part that's what he was showing people because it was easy for them to get out of their bodies and see that they were more than a body. Then he did the transition into soul travel is what he did. He took people along a step at a time. And so again, people have to keep up. A lot of people just stayed with the old idea of bilocation or the galactic this or that or whatever. Most people do, and it's their choice. But we are constantly creating. I see the experiences from others, and then I see things myself, or if it's from the real side, I see basically what is the next step to do. And so with certain people, I have these conversations showing them, step by step how it shows up. This is the fun part. This is what I like. In other words, as I write what I do, either with the True Courses or the groups or what have you, or say, I always like to see what's unknown so that it can become known. That's the best part. And I have the literal knowledge if I need it as a backup. But for the most part, I just like to see what's next, what will appear. And then it's so cool because it always makes sense. It always comes in to make sense, but not everybody's going to see it. So at first it's like, okay, what is he doing? What's he deciding? Whatever. But as it goes along, it does make sense. And so we're going to have some fun here. You're going to have a lot more to go off of very soon, Charles, with what Miss Claudia and I are going to be presenting here in different episodes to the world, because it's time for this and to see more of what's going on the real side and what is affecting the earth, etc. So again, it's a step up. We are the big adventure. And so, yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Miriam. You're wonderful. It's only going to get better.
Duane, we have noch the Nigerians who want to talk with you.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
As a Ibiok and Navajo Christian, both want to talk to you. Maybe first Ibiok.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, I wanted to ask something about this universal updated files. The story about Orion and the event that took place on the 31st October that is just passed. about the can I use the word casting away the Orion lady and the evil son to the phantom zone. So I wanted to know because in other call it religious history, we have been having something pertaining to that. From Christian history, we have something that the devil was cast into the abyss. Then I had to pass through a certain other group known as Grail movement. The message from the Grail brought to the world by Abdul Rushin. So he also talked as that there was a time Pacifier fought Lucifer and they cast him into the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. This all look similar, but I know that what is really taking place now is the real thing. So I wanted Duane to throw more light on it. In respect of all these other happenings, in case we are asked as new students, because we still continue to interact with all these other friends from other groups.
Well, you're going to get, yes, Ibiok, I get it. So again, you're going to get a lot more information here. I wrote the 3 universal files, and then I wrote the one on the Orion Queen, and I'm writing the second one now, but there's going to be a lot more information for people to hear with Claudia and I, and the interviews. We're just gearing up for that. Yes, I would simply say to these people, okay, I would agree with what has taken place. That's taken place like old newspapers. That was yesterday's news, and it is new now. I don't see where a person can live off the idea that, such and such was thrown into the abyss or whatever, okay, so that could be the neighbor's swimming pool. I don't know what it is, but it's the same idea. The phantom zone, etc. We're just kind of using that for the fun of it, that idea. But anyone can see this on the real site. You just simply relate to them, do the new you, and ask Rebazar or one of the real guides to show you what's going on right now. And yes, it is very, very real, but it's not going to be instantaneous. It's kind of like the new president coming out of office that was a knucklehead, and you've got the new president that's a knucklehead too. So again, it's not going to be an instantaneous anything. It's going to be very subtle because the entire world is running on a mechanism that's been created for millions of years, and so to just stop it to a grinding halt and to do something beneficial, well, that's a big job. So little by little, but realistically, yes, acknowledge what has taken place. It's really cool. And the thing with Lucifer, well, that's kind of twisted around, okay? Just kind of like the takeovers that the governments of the world do. They always point to the community leaders as the bad guys, and then they set up their democracy to control them. So again, things are not what they always appear to be. Go to the real site and ask. This is the adventure. Ask Rebisar and the real guides. You will be shown. So create your own adventure with that. But there will be a lot more for you to go off of. But again, basically, yes, it's a good reference, the old news. But again, it's old news. It's like, okay, that's, been there, done that. We all went through it for lifetimes. Now it's absolutely new now. Learn to see the isness and what is new now. Thank you, Charles and Miriam. You kids are wonderful as always. And everybody else, Ibiok, and everyone else, Kelsey, Chris, and Vesna, etc. Yes, thank you for stepping up and sharing. This is where it becomes very real for us as we see more. It's so cool. And it takes all of us sharing like this. So, yes, I'm very grateful that you're all here. Thank you, Charles. And again, it's Saturday again. We will see you next time, Charles.